god. Oh god. Oh god. Where is it? Oh my god, this is too good. This is too good. This is too good. Oh, this is terrible, Matt. It goes all the way. Let's go. Home run, baby.
If you have a gold membership with Xbox Live, one of the free games available for the month of October is Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings. Your first glances at this game will leave you charmed and ready for some exhilarating fun. Yet players will soon discover those initial sets of goosebumps are pretty much all Super Mega Baseball has to offer.
That was terrible.
You know, sometimes a sports game needs to be a sports game and that's it. Forget the extra bells and whistles that apparently add quote-unquote value and depth to the sporting experience. Super Mega Baseball does a good job at being a simple baseball game, but its simplicities will cause gamers to play for only a few hours and then hit the uninstall button, even though the entire game is free for the month of October. The overall artistic design of Super Mega Baseball has a family-oriented feel to it. There are very bright colors, goofy and cartoony characters, and over-exaggerated objects that will make parents and kids laugh. The game looks like one big caricature of a AAA Major League Baseball video game, but that's not what knocks off points for this section. What knocks off points are how each and every character look like a dwarf, and how the goofy and cartoony graphics may be unique at first, but when you look closely, you'll see that the character models and their accents are all very poorly designed. They are bland and minimal, to be honest, without much variety other than a few hairstyles and skin color choices. Faster runners don't have larger legs, power hitters don't have larger arms, smarter players don't have larger heads, dumber players don't have smaller heads. Each character model is the same dwarf-like caricature, which adds a whole lackadaisical layer to your playing experience. Not because of the dwarf-like caricatures, but because of the laziness that went into their development. On a high note, the stadiums actually look wonderful and their designs vary in exceptional ways, even though every person in the crowd watching the games all look the same. Another high note for this section, the team names are humorous and clever, even though all the players playing on them look the same. Other than that, the graphics and design category for Super Mega Baseball doesn't shine too brightly outside the stadiums and the team names. The graphics come off as cheap and forgettable, which isn't too bad for a game that is free, but if I paid money for this, I would have never forgiven myself. My rating for graphics and design is a 2 out of 5.
Pitch, target, reticule. Okay. Reticule close to target, equal high number, equal better pitch. Got it.
Let me just say that Super Mega Baseball does get better to play once you increase the difficulty, but there are still several inconsistencies and control issues that keep it irritating. What's not irritating is the game's batting and pitching mechanics. They each have enough diversity to where you can pick and choose how you want to play offense and defense. Batting is batting, where you can either bunt or swing, and timing your swing perfectly is the difference between a home run and a pop-out. Pitching, on the other hand, actually takes some strategy on the higher difficulties, and throwing the perfect pitch will prove to be harder than one would expect. Regardless of that though, there's nothing more satisfying than throwing 3 strikes with 3 pitches or getting a guy to chase a slider on a full count. Those are always satisfying in a baseball game on any difficulty level, and that remains true for Super Mega Baseball. Now to the facts that drag this section of the game to the ground. First and foremost, the controls suck. They are awkward and clunky, plus on lower difficulty levels you don't truly control the characters. You merely guide them in the right direction. That may work for lower age groups, but for me it's annoying and boring. On the higher difficulty levels, actually controlling the characters does feel good and natural, but it's still a nightmare. The players are way too slow with no sprint button to fix that. They drop the easiest outs too often. If a player is positioned a millimeter too far off to the side, they will completely miss the ball, which sends you on a slow and tiring trudge through the outfield to grab the ball. What would help with making sure you're directly underneath the ball to catch it would be bright indicators to show gamers where to position their players. But no, all you get is a tiny, tiny shadow of the ball that can be missed very easily. As for diving and sliding to make an amazing catch or an incredible out, it just sucks. I'm sorry. None of that sounded like a pleasant experience I would love to enjoy with my friends, but even if you do want to enjoy it with your friends, it's going to have to remain local. Super Mega Baseball does not have any online multiplayer whatsoever, except for the online leaderboards where your high scores are always matched up with your friends. If you're into leaderboards, cool, go have fun, but for someone like me, I'd rather beat my friends on the diamond. Another aspect of the game that is disappointing is the lack of a creation zone. There's no option to create your own team or your own characters. With how enjoyable and diverse the selection of teams is, you'd think kids and family members would be able to have even more fun creating their own super excellent team. But no. The only option you have is to customize the default characters that already exist. There's even a season mode where you can take one of the default teams to the league's championship. There's nothing too special or different about it. You get to choose your difficulty and how long you want the season to be, and that's absolutely fine. Where season mode actually gets a little intricate is with its staff signings and character buffs. As you do well throughout the season, your team gets experience points and you can level up, granting you staff contracts. With each staff member you hire, they come with training buffs for your team. These buffs can only be assigned to one player at a time, but each player has multiple slots, so they can have training from different sources. These little intricacies were actually breaths of fresh air for me because I was prepared for season mode to be just as basic and minimal as the exhibition games. Yet, season mode is not the game's saving grace. It still suffers from the same frustrating mechanics poisoning each and every one of the games, so when you've got to play close to 50 of them, it gets very boring and irritated early on in the season. My rating for gameplay is a 2 out of 5. Soundtrack starts off strong, and we all know how I'm a sucker for great soundtracks. Hardcore rock and roll / metal blares out at the main menu of this game, which was a little unexpected for a game that looks very family friendly. There weren't any vulgar lyrics or anything like that. It was just interesting for a goofy looking childish baseball game to have such excellent and adrenaline pumping music. Yet after you get past the menus and into the actual playing of the game, the soundtrack is almost non-existent, only appearing for brief glimpses after strikeouts and home runs. I believe this aspect of the game might have saved the whole thing a few points, but its near absent nature quickly disappointed me. Still, I can't knock the fact that the music is awesome when it's around. My rating for music is a 3 out of 5.
Pick your team and ego. Oh, that's cool.
For this section, I'm not taking into account how the game's clunky controls and frustrating mechanics naturally make the game more difficult, like they would with any game. I'm mainly talking about how the difficulty is provided and customizable. This difficulty system is called Ego, and it ranges from level 0 to level 99. It provides players the chance to find their perfect difficulty, because each level is slightly different than the one before and after it. So trying out all the different kinds of difficulties is very entertaining indeed. You can choose your overall ego, or you can break it down even more and individually harden or ease batting, pitching, fielding, and base running. This is very similar to the slider options in other sports games, but I like Super Mega Baseballs simply because it makes it quick and easier to figure out which difficulty works for you. My rating for difficulty is a 4 out of 5. Okay, let me just say, the umpires are my favorite part about this game. The way they scream strike, ball, out, safe, foul ball, and home run are all hilarious and never get old. My roommate and I, we cracked up for like 20 minutes while trying to reenact the umpire's voice acting, which just caused even more laughter. It was a good time. Another factor that adds some sprinkles to this sad Sunday is the ridiculous character reactions and the somewhat crude nature of the game. When a character strikes out, they either have smoke coming out of their ears or tears streaming from their eyes. When they are psyched out or worried at the plate, they start sweating and shaking profusely. Male and female characters will either pick their nose or pick their butt or even scratch their crotch before they throw a pitch or step up to the plate. Now, these little tidbits do get old after about 3 or 4 games, but they were entertaining at one point. Overall, though, the game is fun at first, especially when you're trying out all the cleverly named teams in gorgeous stadiums. But the clunky controls, inconsistencies, lack of an online multiplayer, and the repetitive gameplay that doesn't need much strategy or skill quickly make Super Mega Baseball a boring and forgettable game. My rating for entertainment value is a 2 out of 5. Yeah, quickly. My rating for replayability is a 0.5 out of 5. My final rating for Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings is a 2.25 out of 5. The game is not rubbish, and is actually worth the download on the Xbox Store since it's free. But if you miss out during the month of October and have to spend money on this title, don't do it. Yes, it could be a fun baseball game to get your 5 or 6 year old, but their intrigue will only last about an hour or 2 at best. Trust me, just don't do it. The game is a spurt of fun, but it doesn't offer much more underneath its very minimal and boring exterior. Its only saving grace are the difficulty settings that allow all ages to enjoy the experience their way. Other than that, there's really nothing. This is Matt Brunhofer with GamingFad, and thank you for watching my review of Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings. It is available for free for Xbox Live Gold members on the Xbox Store, and if it doesn't satisfy you like it didn't satisfy me, then always remember to stay sexy.